Evil exists. It's pretty hard to deny that these days. Although a lot of people still do. I think for some people it's near impossible to believe that someone they voted for or someone they like in a movie, for example, could somehow be participating in evil. So they call it all a conspiracy theory and ignore all the evidence. Epstein's Island, for example, which we discussed the other day. But it's somehow worse than that. I mean, if you go back far enough, there's that blue dress that opened the door to all of this. I was just a kid, but I'm old enough to remember how popular Bill Clinton was. How people thought he was the kind of president you'd like to go for a beer with. He's just a regular guy. He was one of us. And even after the whole blue dress incident, people still seem to like him. You know? But all you have to do is dig a little. And if people had a clue about what was really going on behind the scenes, at the time and long after. I mean, it's not only Epstein's Island, but there's many allegations from many other women. And they were all ignored or covered up by the mainstream media. You know? I mean, if you're interested in going down your own rabbit hole, just look up the deceased body count that surrounds the Clintons and their many years in power and government. You know? And as evil as that all is that's not the evil I'm talking about. The evil I'm talking about, I mean, it's darker than any of that. It's an institutionalized evil that lives in a very government itself, and it affects so deeply that a country will, I think they're eventually going to collapse from it. And I'm not talking about the Canadian or American governments, at least not yet. Although, you know, feel free to judge their level of evil for yourself. No, I'm talking about the government that our Prime Minister called like-minded and wants to expand our trade with. I'm talking about China. China and the fact that they harvest organs from their prisoners. And many of these prisoners are only in jail because of their religion or because they spoke out against their government. Kind of like what I'm doing right now. And honestly, if I lived in China, if I had the right blood type, the police would show up to arrest me before I was disappeared and ended up on an operating table, still alive and aware. A scalpel cutting deep into my chest and abdomen before the surgeon reaches in and starts to pull out organs. And if this sounds like a horror movie, like it's just a story and there's no way this could be real. I mean, I guess for me that would be true because I don't live in China. But for so many Chinese citizens, this is a reality. I mean, it's no secret that people go missing in China. You know, when the generals and billionaires go missing, I mean, that usually makes the news. But I've heard that millions of people go missing in China every year, and then many are taken by the police. You know, although what the true number of missing are is impossible to track down. And China is not very free with that kind of information. But I am not relying on conspiracy theories or some site deep in the web for this information. I mean, I've actually known about all of this for years. But the reason I'm talking about it right now is that, well, I just watched an interview on American thought leaders. And I'll definitely leave a link in the description. And I'd absolutely recommend go watching it yourself. And even watching the film that's been made about all of this. That's if you still have the stomach for it after the interview. Yeah. And this is certainly not the only media confirming what I've just told you. We have news stories and documentaries going back years that talk about all of this. No, I mean, this is no conspiracy. It's just facts. Facts that this horror story is not fiction. And again, it's performed by the very government that our Prime Minister wants to trade with. I can't imagine anyone, not me, not you, not anyone, ever trading with Clifford Olson or Picton. I mean, who would trade with a serial killer, right? Yeah. Or a serial organ harvester, but if it's a government that's harvesting organs, then somehow that's all good, There's no problem at all, then. It's fine, right? Because, well, we aren't buying the organs that they're harvesting. Or because our government puts out a memo condemning the treatment of the Uyghurs in China, who are absolutely some of the victims of this. But honestly, I mean, even at this, the whole thing is so far beyond any of that. I mean, China has no freedom of speech, no freedom of religion. I mean, the government scores its citizens and then limits their people's access, not just to luxuries, but even to the basic necessities. Food, housing, transportation can all be cut off if the government considers you to be a bad citizen. If a Chinese citizen does something like me and talks out about powerful people or stands up to the government, it won't be long before they're homeless and begging for food. And I mean, even just listening to someone like me would lower your citizen score and make life harder for you. And once you're under the eye of the Chinese government, well, then you might just find yourself on that same operating table, aware and still alive and being cut open. All this leads back to, leads back to that China is not a trustworthy country. And I mean, some of its government practices, I mean, there isn't a better word for it. It's evil. Pure evil. And if you're one of the people out there that's happy that we're pivoting towards China just because you hate the American government or its president, I mean, please open your eyes and see that the evil you don't know is so much worse than the one you do. And please go watch that interview on American thought leaders. China is not what it appears from the outside, and it all starts with the government. Corruption, digital IDs, forced vaccinations, using the emergency acts. A government that loses respect for the will of its people and replaces it with a will of its own. And this seems to be spreading. I mean, it doesn't seem to be just China anymore. I mean, when a government starts pushing MAID, government-assisted death on healthy people, not only should Canada not be trading with China, Canada must be careful we don't ever become China. Our Prime Minister said that we were like-minded countries. But I have to strongly disagree with that in every way possible. From top to bottom, from left to right. We do not want to be like China. And perhaps our Prime Minister should look into how many politicians disappear in that country before he states how great they are, or that we're like-minded, or wants to share his new world order with them.